Welcome to Reels Flix Reviews. This is a show where we review everything from the Marx Brothers to the latest, greatest, craptastic Harvey Keitel movie. This week, we review the movie Troll Hunter. I'm Jonathan Charney. He's James Stevens. Hello. And the strange dude in the lower left-hand corner is Ryan Preston.
Hey, everybody.
And since this was my unfortunate pick, I'm going to go first. This movie was made in 2010, and it is by André something or other. It's a Norwegian film.
Pronounced it last week, whatever, if you guys want to find out. Look last week.
And this movie is about a group of students investigating a series of mysterious bear killings, but they learn that there's much more to the mysterious killings and dangerous things going on.
Okay, wait, hold on. This is one of my first little points that I wanted to bring up. So is that what they were doing? Because they really don't explain what the purpose of them just going out and picking on this random guy.
No, I kind of gathered they were on some kind of a school expose or something like that.
That's what I thought.
Well, the problem with it is they don't really tell you. It's kind of just given to you. There's no backstory on that.
Well, what I kind of thought was maybe they're doing a documentary expose on poaching. Because that's kind of what it seemed like. That's
kind of what I was gathering.
They started out like, oh, there's a certain amount of bears that are killed, or hunting licenses that are given every year. And then all of a sudden they just kind of pick on this guy because that one creepy Norway dude that, like...
Hans?
No, not Hans. But the guy before that, he's like smiling. Like,
oh, yeah.
And that's the other dang thing. I mean, is everybody in Norway happy?
I can't imagine. It's way too cold to be that happy.
I know. Everybody there was like smiling like, oh, hey, how you doing?
They're just happy to be on camera.
I mean, are we in Canada or something? Everybody's happy? And yeah, I mean, that...
Just a nicer class of people than here, huh?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, and that's like the joke they made about Michael Moore. Not everybody in Canada, leaves their doors unlocked. Same thing in Norway. Not everybody there is going to be happy. You got to find somebody that's pissed off.
I do like the fact that they kind of make fun of Blair Witch Project through the entire movie. I mean, it's very subtle.
Yeah,
but it's extremely amusing. I have to say, I love the way they did the trolls in this movie.
Yes.
Well, hold on. I got a point before that. I mean, what was up with the huge bear? That shaggy bear that they kept on bringing back. Like, they showed it dead in the beginning, and this big stuffed bear with its tongue hanging out, and then later they use it to disguise the troll they killed by bringing the same shaggy dead stuffed bear.
But they don't say.
Pretty sure that was a different bear. What made me laugh though was the
zipper
footprints.
I was.
Don't you think you should put a little more weight than about 4 pounds of pressure on that thing?
I love the fact that in the second time you see the bear, you can almost see the zipper.
Yeah,
it's like a beanbag bear. I mean, that's what it looks like.
The thing about it is that hunter guy, Hans.
Mm-hmm.
For a hunter that's out there hunting trolls, what was he? He wasn't a Navy SEAL, but he was a Navy Special...
Navy Ranger.
Norwegian Special Forces or something like that.
Yeah, Navy Ranger. That's exactly what it was. He sure was oblivious to being followed.
Yeah, you would think you would notice somebody with a giant boom, a camera, and a microphone following everywhere.
Yeah, and the guy with the blue jacket walking behind you like, I don't know, nobody can see me.
I know.
Hey, do you remember me? No, who are you? Really?
Yeah, way to pay attention.
I know. Well trained, aren't you?
I'm kind of jumping
ahead. Not to mention, ex-Navy Ranger from Norway.
Yeah, exactly.
So cut him a little slack on that, but... He's still going out into the middle of the woods in the middle of the night with nothing but essentially a really big flashlight. Now, okay, that might help trolls, but there are other things in those woods that might be attacking him, right?
But
wouldn't you carry a pistol?
Well, okay, that was a...
No, why would you do that? Because I think he does have a shotgun, but since it's Norway, it's probably illegal to carry.
Yeah, and you were saying you jumped ahead. Yeah, I was going to bring it back a little bit. Now, in all the fairy tales I grew up with, and I read a lot of the old fairy tales, as a kid, I kind of thought they were cool, and some of the more obscure ones, like the Grimm's fairy tales, where they were real, a little bit more legitimate. I never knew that trolls like car tires. I never...
Old car tires.
I know old car tires. Or the Gremlin, the car that they had. That's what it looked like. It looked like a Gremlin, did it not? A green Gremlin?
It did. It looked like a lime green AMC Gremlin.
But I never knew that... they like car tires.
I love talk about car tires. I love that Connex unit they have in the middle of nowhere, and the guy's like, they tried to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
The good stuff. The car tires sitting in there. That's the
But he
stuff.
couldn't open the wrapper.
Yeah.
I wonder what tires they like best. I mean, do they like Bridgestone, Toyos, Pirelli? I mean,
Firestone, yeah.
I really want to know which version of fake rubber do they like the best. One of my favorite insults in the entire movie when it says, "Which one's you are Christians?" I know it can't be you, woman.
Yeah, he points at the woman and says, "It can't be you."
And they don't say it. I want to know why. That's the one insult. It's just like, what is it? Come on, tell.
Oblivious to being followed, but a really good judge of character.
Oh, yeah. The thing that I was a little bit kind of confused by is this guy's an expert troll hunter. Obviously. I mean, that's what he's portrayed as.
Can we have him on the internet, man? I'm tired of all the trolls in the forums to go to.
No joke. And I was trying to stay away from the internet troll jokes on this show, actually. Anyway, you think you would have a better plan than wandering out to the forest to hunt these trolls? If they turn to stone during the day, don't you think that you would just go cave crawling?
Yeah, that would be my thing. Just I'd become a really good spelunker and just
Yeah. Just carry some dynamite, go down there, chuck a couple on it, and when they're down, because I'm assuming that just shooting them or exploding them isn't going to kill them, just hit them with a lot of UV lights. I mean, like vampires. I didn't know vampires and trolls had that in common. Did you?
I love that. I love the scene when he was in that really weird armored suit.
Oh,
and
yeah,
there was and there was that red button like the middle of the chest, and they were picking him up after he got slammed down.
Watch out for the red button.
That was my favorite scene. That's like the scene. That Napoleon Dynamite with a cow. That right there was my favorite scene when you just saw it go wink.
Well, you didn't like Napoleon Dynamite until I mentioned that scene, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie just for that scene.
The rest of that movie was just too damn uncomfortable.
It really was. You're right, Johnny. That was really the only scene that made it worth it.
Yeah, it was. Okay, now, the other one is that kind of was bugging me was, now, is it me or were the names of these trolls a little bit, random? Like the Tosser lad. That was the first one that he killed with the 3 heads.
I could have sworn one of them was named Gargamel. There were some. I'm just assuming they were Norwegian, and I'm going to take it with a foreign grain of salt.
Okay, was it me or did that first troll look like Cerberus?
Oh man!
Wow!
Up his big floppy nose, man. That was one of the funniest things ever.
Or Fluffy from Harry Potter?
Oh yeah. That guy, and then there's another one that I was thinking of that they kind of look like too.
I think though, according to IMDb, I was reading some of the information about it. Like the Joltner apparently is it's the multiple of, it's plural. So I'm thinking that the actual names of trolls.
It might have been. I don't know. I never heard of a Tosser lad, but I kind of like the way that it sounds.
I have, but it's not
Tosser lad. Tosser down a hill, lad.
So
sorry, I had to make that
Jesus.
joke.
The other one I liked is when that dude in the blue coat with rabies started smelling the urine all over the trees.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, whatever that thing was, they piss everywhere.
Okay, now that was pretty funny. And then now what was the point of the time?
The point of the what?
Time. The actual herb that was hanging all over the trail. They asked them questions.
I don't know if they ever actually explained
that.
They
never did.
I don't remember. I've seen this twice. Thanks to a friend, Ben, of mine, showing me this movie. I even asked him, and I don't think he even had a...
No, they don't explain what the time was. And my other point was, okay, you got UV lights hanging all around your trailer.
Yeah.
But these troll tails aren't turned to stone.
Right, yeah. Well, maybe he's got the photographer's lights inside.
No, he said that he had the UV lights in there because he couldn't sleep.
Oh,
and he was wearing sunscreen.
How did he capture that though? That's the one thing I want to know is how did he capture it? I mean, just walk up and lop one off?
That must have been, catch a troll by the tail.
As much trouble as it took him just to get the blood sample from the under the bridge troll.
I love that needle. Yeah. That giant, 12-gallon syringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dentist syringe from hell.
And then taking it and dumping it in a mason jar.
Oh, and the Christian blood, that giant bucket of blood he brought up to the Three Billy Goats gruff.
My favorite part of the movie. Just the fact that he had Christian blood.
Yeah.
just you know,
just randomly hiding in a trailer.
in a bucket full. I mean, you know,
Yeah, not a little bit, enough to kill somebody or two people to get it.
sure. And it's not like you go to a blood bank and say, "Hey, which one of these is a believer?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you kind of got to find yourself a Christian and then sort of, you know, do a little bloodletting.
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe in Norway, you know, all the you know, they have a little cross for Christian, a little crescent for a Muslim,
Sure.
some sort of strange symbol for an atheist.
Okay, now was it just me, or did these guys break almost every horror movie rule?
That's why I think this was.
Sure.
I think that's why I think this was good, because it wasn't stereotypical. It made fun of a lot of them.
Yeah, it did.
Just by doing
Yeah.
really stupid stuff. And the girl didn't die first.
Oh, I know.
Right.
I was surprised. She actually lived.
Yeah.
Well,
kind of.
They didn't show her die, but they never said that she was found either. But
Right.
you know, I mean, that was one of the things that did shock me. It was the actual Christian blood man that was the first of the bunch to die.
And she wasn't wearing high heels.
Well, yeah, but you know, the first rule of any horror movie is if it looks like a bad idea, it is a bad idea.
Sure.
You know, like let's go down this dark hidden road right here.
With the warning sign that says "warning" explosions on it.
Yeah.
Right. When you think you're actually following illegal poacher. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that to me would be pretty dangerous. Following that guy in the middle of the night, you don't know what he's capable of. All of a sudden, you're in his territory. He could just bury you and throw you in the woods.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And he's carrying this really strange, giant flashlight-looking thing.
Yeah, almost like a Canon flashlight.
And when you
Yeah, the
first
first thing I saw it, I was like, "What the heck is that thing?" And John's like, "Do you want me to talk?" No, let me figure it out.
when you first see him, he has this giant, like medieval, like Lord of the Rings axe that he's walking in.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
that was for the tails.
Which, by the way, is the only time I think you see that particular
It is.
weapon.
But that was because he was tail hunting that day.
Wow,
Oh yeah, I did it.
Wow.
I did it.
you're fired.
Oh jeez. All right. So, John, do you have any more points you want to bring up?
You know, I gotta say, I love the cinematography in the movie. I love the scenery.
Yeah.
You know, that made me want to visit Norway, just not particularly into the spots they were in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I'm just giving up a few little summaries. John, Ryan, did you have anything major that you wanted to bring up that we haven't covered yet?
Actually, there was a couple things. Like John already brought up the cinematography,
Yes, great.
which I actually I started out kind of like, okay, it's your average, you know, sort of documentary / mockumentary style of cinematography.
I was pleasantly
but
surprised.
But then I
it wasn't.
really started to notice a lot of the like you said, kind of, sort of the homages to the Blair Witch type of movies, and that just the genre, sort of making fun of it, that kind of thing. So the cinematography sort of grew on me a lot after a while.
I will say an addendum to that. There's no super shaky cam like some of these ones that do
Yeah.
that. They do it so much. It's, you know, I'm getting ready to have a reversal of fortune. This kept it very minimal, which to me, being semi-nauseous watching it, I was very thankful.
Yes. I
Right.
agree
Well,
with that.
and they did. You can tell. I mean, it was still in the same style, like I said, of the genre of the
Exactly.
mockumentary thing. So it was a lot of bad camera angles, but it didn't come down to the really shaky, everything kind of jittery. Yeah, I mean, so it didn't make you sick watching it. At least it was easy to sit there and kind of go through.
And no stupid shit on trees.
Right. Yeah. There was a couple things. For one, this is the director's second movie, which is
Really?
I mean,
I didn't know
always
that.
kind of impressive because it didn't come off. I mean, as much as it wanted to come off kind of like the student type of film, just because the style sort of lent itself to it. It didn't have that kind of amateur,
Yeah, I agree.
overall feel to it.
Not like a Blair Witch Project, because the first one had a really low budget. This one, I don't know if it was low budget or not, but just the way they did it was really impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those movies. This is one of those movies that you can. It really shows what people can do with a handful of actors, a couple of producers, and some good CGI. You get just a minimalist type of storytelling. I mean, you have this really, you know, amazing landscape, which is great. I mean, like you said, made you want to visit Norway right off the
is
bat.
nice. Yeah.
So I mean, you have this really epic, you know, like on the level of Lord of the Rings style scenery.
Exactly.
Maybe not quite New Zealand, but still, I mean, some amazing stuff. with actors who are not bad, but they're perfect for what they're trying to accomplish. Like everything this movie really set out to do, I thought they did pretty decently.
I agree.
As far as I noticed they really tried to make the dialogue and everything seem sort of natural and kind of off the cuff and whatnot. I think they almost went a little too far, with some of the cheesiness of the dialogue.
What scene to you really screamed out cheesy for the lines? Because it seemed like to me everything flowed fairly well.
Well, okay, keep in mind, actually I wanted to ask you, did you guys watch a subtitled version or a dubbed version?
Subtitled.
Okay, because I was really unlucky enough to find a dub version, so I'll take a little bit of the dialogue with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Because usually if I'm sort of reading the movie, and I don't mean that pejoratively, I'll be able to take kind of sort of the syntax of the language into account and judge from there like how everything's sort of read.
Well, before you move on to your next point, I want to bring up that dialogue portion that you were just talking about. And John, the parts that I would say that Ryan is probably having problems with is the parts where it's they're kind of trying to have like little social conversation in between each other.
Yeah.
There was a couple scenes
it was lost in translation because of the dubbed version, or if you guys were noticing the same thing.
No, I noticed a couple times, not so much in like the restaurant scene, but when they were sitting in the trailer.
I see. It was some of it was really forced.
Yeah.
The interaction, not at the parts where they were hunting, but the parts when they were like in a cabin or in the car. I could see that.
Yes.
There wasn't really as smooth as some of the other ones were.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking Ryan was saying. But again, you watched a dub version, we watched a sub version. So
right. So I knew I might have been losing a little bit just because I know that anytime you watch a dubbed version, you're really losing a lot as far as performances. So I tried to judge it on other things. The other thing I wanted to bring up is a lot of people last 10 years or so have done a lot of the different kind of fairy tale versions of different stories, or sort of updating them or making them kind of gritty or kind of more realistic. Yeah. This was I don't know, some kind of a, oh man, I'm losing my train of thought. They did a good job. I mean, they kind of kept a little bit from the original lore. Tried to add a couple of new things. Like you said, I was really surprised with the whole UV light thing. I mean, just reminded me of The Hobbit,
I did
pop out, just raise the sun.
I did like the fact they brought up 3 Billy Goats Gruff. There was the eating contest. They did bring the lore into it, which I think for this movie and kind of the loose fitting dialogue, I think really brought it to your imagination. I think if it was tighter, I think this movie would have sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of directions they could have taken this, and it would not have been as good as it was. Now, I'm really not saying that it was the greatest thing ever, but as far as the I mean, it's like 12 people made this movie. I mean, they found some money. They went out, they filmed this thing. I mean, you could tell it was really easy to film, but like I said, everything that they set out to accomplish as far as the look and the feel of the movie, they accomplished, really well. I mean, it was really just the style of the mockumentary that really kind of saved them, as far as everybody not looking for any kind of big budget craziness other than the trolls. But as we've learned from stuff like Cloverfield and these slightly lower budget movies, you really don't need any kind of a studio. You can just find yourself a good CGI guy and really do what you want.
I have to say, I haven't seen Cloverfield, but I've never heard anything good about it though.
Well, as far as the monsters are concerned, I mean,
that's kind of where you lose it.
you have a budget of a couple $100,000, and they spent, I'm sure, $150,000 of that on the CGI and really making that part ring true. Which is really, I mean, as far as the mockumentary style of genre, that was the only part that they needed to spend any kind of money on, because everything else, I mean, just looked better, cheaper.
This was the first mockumentary that I've actually ever liked, because usually I don't like the style. I'd say
come on, what about Spinal Tap?
Okay, that I have a hard time classifying that as a mockumentary, because I find it really amusing. But you're right. I mean, that was awesome, especially the pod scene. I have to say, this is my favorite line in the whole entire movie. It's by those polished painters. It says, in Poland, we don't ask, we do. Why problem make when you no problem have you no want to make? I love that line. For some reason, is the most amusing line in the entire movie to me.
Well, I had a few points I want to bring up before we got down to the actual numbers of the thing. That was one of the things I wanted to bring up, was that is actually, you got these guys speaking Norwegian through the whole movie. You bring in these Polish guys who probably speak Norwegian themselves. There's not very many people in Europe that only speak one language. They come into there and they start talking to these Norwegian guys in horrible English.
That's why it was awesome.
I mean, it was bad.
So the common language in that part was English?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Wow. Again, I was watching the dubbed version, so I missed that little.
If you get it,
I got to go back and watch the subtitle version. I think I'm missing something here.
You are. You're missing.
If you get, it is on Netflix. If you ever get a chance, I think it's worth watching. I personally.
Hold on, I was gonna bring up a few points before we got into that. As I was saying, it wasn't just that horrible English play. I agree with Ryan on the fact that, for what they set out to do, they did a fantastic job. They really did. But as far as storyline and things like that, I thought they did a pretty cool idea of it. They brought in their own little special lore. They brought in some of the old lore, like John said, and that was an interesting thing. But my problem with this movie is the fact that, it was a little bit too cheesy, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that was because of the looseness of the script? Because it definitely didn't have a tight feel to it. Not to me.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it wasn't a tight feel. I just think it was
Sorry.
I think they were trying to walk a middle ground of being cheesy and not cheesy.
Yeah, sort of make fun of the genre and pay homage to the genre at the same time.
And I really couldn't get what they were going with there. I understand that, it was kind of like they were walking a middle ground, like they didn't know what they wanted to do. But, as far as what they were trying to accomplish of making it a mock documentary /
comedy.
Fairy tale,
fairy tale, bring all that in. They did a great job.
Sure.
Like John said, the shaky camera stuff, there really wasn't much of that. There was not too much running with the camera thing. That was really good. And the thing I really, really appreciated is they didn't go for the grainy camera style.
Oh, thank God.
That they get major points for me on. So that's really what it is. If you're looking at this movie for great acting, you're dumb.
Yeah. Nobody looked for a Norwegian movie for great acting. That's not.
Oh, come on, we're exports.
Okay. Well, that wasn't Norwegian, was it? That was Finland.
Oh, Finland. Okay. But
still, so apparently, it's close enough for James.
Yeah, you throw a rock, you hit 6 countries.
It's a big ass rock to hit 6 countries.
No, it's just a map. You're just looking at a map.
Oh, okay, sure.
Anyway, but as far as that, I think it turned out to be a lot better of a movie than I thought it was. People don't straight up just look at this and just kind of go off the title like, oh my God, I don't want to watch it. That's just what I gotta say.
The thing, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. You finished, or?
Yeah, I'm basically done.
The thing that scares me. Screw you. The thing that scares me is that apparently it's been optioned for an American release. American version of it.
No, what?
I've read it somewhere. It might have been IMDb. It might have been when I was trolling the internet looking for it. But having an American version of this scares me.
It really does.
Okay.
Hopefully we can just hope that the American movie wheel will just disintegrate that idea.
I had a friend complain about this not too long ago on Facebook. And, I kind of agree with him on this. And this is one of those movies that, we've really, really run out of our own ideas to steal from the past movies that we have to go out to other countries and start stealing their ideas.
We're remaking 80s movies. They're remaking RoboCop. So, at this point, they've ran out of ideas.
Well, look, at least they're going to remake something that wasn't as good. See, I've always thought, why are they remaking good movies? Remake something that could have been good but wasn't because it was in the 80s or because it was just,
out of its time. Running Man, there you go.
Sure.
Hey, I love that movie. Come on.
You know what? Hey, if we get any directors watching this and you want a movie that should be remade, I Come in Peace, also known as Dark Angel.
Yes.
Release that on DVD or remake it, please.
Yeah.
If you release it on DVD, I'll buy at least 2 copies.
And you know what? I'm sure Lundgren would really love to do a cameo in there too.
Oh, sure, he's down.
Because he makes like
away from his science.
Well, he makes 12 movies a year or something crazy like that.
Geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. It's kind of scary. He's got like 5 coming out in 2013.
Oh, man.
I'm serious. Look him up. He's got like 5 or 6 movies coming out in 2013.
And so...
How the hell did we get to Dolph Lundgren?
It's all James's fault.
John brought up 80s bad movies.
I personally, I like this movie. I thought it was entertaining. It's definitely not, as Ryan and James said, it's not the greatest movie in the world. It is entertaining to me, and as far as the way I rate movies, that's important, because if the movie's not entertaining, then I'm just going to nitpick the hell out of it.
Sure.
I personally gave this movie a 3. I think it's a I think it's a 2 for the effects, the shaky cam, the way they do it, but I add an extra point because it's entertaining. And this is the second time I saw this movie, which means to me to really want to watch it again is definitely worth something. A point for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I gave it actually a 2, and you guys obviously can tell by now that I'm a little bit harsh on movies.
That train rolling, huh?
Yeah, I gotta be harsh on them. I mean, I've seen too many to be nice.
Oh yeah, sure.
And my reasonings for it, is like I said, it's not one of those movies that you look for acting.
No, not at all.
And you get major points for me to actually watch a movie and actually care about the actors. I didn't really care if anybody died. Again, like John said, it's a horror movie, so I'm a little bit always disappointed when they go for a chick. I mean, come on. Actually, you always kill a chick in there. Let one of them survive, like I spit on your grave. She survived.
The only person I cared for was the chick because she was hot. I mean, that's really the only person that's like, don't let the chick die. Don't let the chick die.
Yeah,
and that's the reason to visit Norway.
Exactly.
Yeah, you didn't want to have one less chick in Norway. But, all in all, there... Sorry, wow. Norway people. I apologize to the country of Norway.
James Stevens just got banned from Norway.
It's not the first time that Stevens got kicked out of there, I'm sure.
That's why they're here.
Like I said, it's not the movie that's great on acting, so that's why it kind of gets a 2. Plus, I'm not really into the mockumentaries or documentaries, things like that. You got to be really, really spectacular to even come close to touching a 3 with me on those, because there's really not much that you need to put into it. Like Ryan said, you get a good camera, you get some decent people that can kind of deliver some lines, and you're good to go.
But out of all the ones you've seen, I still think this is the best one, because normally they have all this stuff, the shaky cam, all the bunch of other crap that just makes it not unwatchable.
Well, as far as all the other ones, they pretty much are in a 1, or I'd even go lower than that if I could on our scale, but I'm not really into those. The ones that have just really come out recently, the one, what are those? Ryan, help me out here. The ones that just came out recently, with the ghost, the poltergeist.
Oh, Paranormal Activities?
Paranormal Activities. See, those, even the good one on there would still be a 1.
Well, the first one on there, I'd give that higher just because, again, I'm a fan of the minimalist storytelling, and it was an interesting slow burn of a horror movie.
It was, but, where they took it at the end, it's like, really? We got to go back to witches?
Well, I'm talking about the original ending. I'm not talking about the re-released ending, which was complete bullshit. The first ending they had was fucking perfect.
Okay. I'll give you that, but even still, I'm not going to go over a 2 on it.
Okay, fair enough.
So, what did you give this movie, as far as rating wise?
There was a couple of factors. I'm gonna go for a 3, and I usually tend to weigh more on James's side of the arguments. But
welcome to the dark side.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm really kind of a sucker for the.
I knew you were his father.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm a sucker for the genre. I'm a sucker for the, like I said, sort of the not necessarily minimalist storytelling. It's not like shot in an elevator or something like that, but just you get 5 people like 5 friends wanting to make a movie and just finding a way to do that, and it was better than most. God, it's such a borderline on a 3 though, because the pacing of it was a little bit weird. It was a little bit long. Some of the
scenes it was only an hour and a half.
But again, I'm taking a grain of salt with the dubbed version I saw, because whoever dubbed it was just mentally ill. But that kind of goes for the dubbed versions of anything I've ever seen, which is why I never mind watching a subtitled version of a movie.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Sorry to all those schizophrenics out there.
Well, I didn't say,
Just stay away from dubbing and you're all right.
But yeah, I'm gonna go for a 3 because like I said, everything they set out to do, I thought they accomplished pretty damn well. And obviously, look, it's a foreign movie, so I'm not gonna hold it to any kind of American Hollywood standards, and I don't know why we all would hold any kind of movie to that standard anyway.
Thank you.
All seen what they've put out recently.
Oh, geez, over the past 10 years.
So on that note, actually, it just sort of on the antithesis of the Hollywood thing. It's like, look, this is what we can do with a couple of people and some CGI. We didn't need an insane budget. We didn't need the name to sell the movie. I mean, we had somewhat of an original idea. I'm obviously saying somewhat because, I mean, they really just said, okay, what's a troll movie going to be about? We'll put one under a bridge. We'll make a bunch of references to old things, and they turn to stone if they see UV lights. So, okay, that was... Sure, okay, but it was an interesting take. I thought the trolls looked fantastic.
Yeah, they actually did.
Some of the best CG I've seen in a long time in a movie.
I was kind of expecting them to be a lot worse, but they were good.
The really crappy thing of like the Cloverfield, where we're just going to kind of brush by the monster really fast, and so you can kind of pause it and guess what you saw. No, they made a point to just zoom right on in. Let me see what I'm looking at, and I was not disappointed on that. So based on all those things, I'm going to go for a good 3 on this.
Yeah, I was really happy. There's that. You're right. That really annoying thing they did in a lot of these mockumentaries. They have that fast blur, and they go back to it, and they showed everything you could see. The fur move, the feet, the CG in this movie is better than the most last 10 years worth of American CG.
Sure.
Especially out of last week's lockout. Dear God.
I mean, look, I would argue that the best CG I've ever seen was Jurassic Park because
yes, and it still holds up.
It holds up to this day. Anybody go back and watch that movie. The way they married the two, like the CG and the analog, let's still build some Jim Henson style puppet shit. I mean, the way they put those two together, and I mean, it was seamless. It was really seamless. I think was the glory days for CGI.
And I think the antithesis of this was the Lord of the Rings. They did every traditional effect. They did every digital effect they could, and I liked that. And
submitted for your approval, I'd like to throw the very last Star Wars into that mix. The Revenge of the Sith just could not have been more CGI in that.
I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. And next week's pick is James's pick. And since it's James's pick, what are you choosing next week, Mr. Stevens?
I have got one of the most anticipated movies to be reviewed on Real Reviews as of today.
Wait, you mean Real Flix Reviews?
Real Flix, sorry.
It's his own show and he doesn't know it, ladies and gentlemen.
I picked the name too, whatever. Anyway, Real Flix Reviews. We have been wanting this movie for a while, and as you can tell by Ryan's glowing face at the moment, it is going to be Battle Royale. All you guys that are out there watching Hunger Games, screw that. Come over.
Anybody who's about to
have a sit down.
Now, do not go.
Do not go. Watch this movie first. And then, if you want, after watching this movie, you can go watch Hunger Games. Now, this movie it's a Japanese flick.
Is it subtitled or dubbed?
It comes in both. The one that we're going to be watching is actually subtitled.
Thank you.
Please watch the subtitled one. Don't do yourself a favor. Don't watch anything dubbed.
But yeah, enjoy and look forward to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. I have to say,
I can already tell you what my number is on this one, but I'll save it for next week.
I have to say, because I think Ryan and James have already seen it. This is the first time I've seen it, and I've been waiting specifically not to see it because they keep telling me.
This will be.
Are you going to wait until I make it up there to watch it? We all watch
Yes, we're going to watch it together.
Awesome! I can't wait.
And next week is going to be a special show because Ryan is actually going to be here.
I'm going to be in studio.
Yep.
So we're going to see if we're going to let him in or not. So if he's not in there, we've tied him up. So for Jonathan, myself,
it's either me or a pair of shoes,
Oh dear God! For myself, Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston. See you next week.
This episode of Old Guy Tech TV is brought to you by Ward's Automotive, specializing in banks, power, and pack brake. servicing your car or truck and specializing in diesel engines. Over 30 years of service, located in Diamond Springs, California. Give them a call at 530-626-5588.